Welcome to Fellowship, guys. What I love about this game is that it is in its own genre. It's known as a multiplayer online dungeon adventure, as they're calling it. A Moda with loot, heroes, and endlessly scaling difficulty that rewards player skill, team coordination, and strategy. Now, this game plays with the holy trinity in MMOs, which just means there are tanks, healers, and damage dealers. To be able to take down hordes of enemies and the imposing bosses, you will need all three classes, which means you'll have to work together with your friends to overcome the greatest challenges, creating unbreakable bonds and memorable moments. Players can also flex their individual skills on the competitive leaderboards that show where you stand in Fellowship. If you persevere and overcome and ascend, you can be on the top ranks in Fellowship. And today I just wanted to talk about some DPS tips to help get you there. So if you have never played an MMO before, this game may be a bit of a difficult thing for you. It just tosses you straight into the end game of MMORPGs, which are actually my favorite part of MMORPGs. I really like the dungeon grind, so it's nice to play a game that skips right to that. And here we have Contender 6, which is the highest before the capstone dungeon in the easiest of the difficulties. So I'm not too far into the game yet, but I just wanted to give you some tips and tricks on playing DPS in general. So not even the Ice Mage that I'm playing. Some things you'll want to do as a DPS is make sure you're putting out as much damage as you possibly can. Sounds straightforward, right? But what that means really is making sure that you are casting your abilities quickly enough that there aren't abilities just sitting on active when you could be putting them on CD or cooldown. Make sure you're using those abilities, right? That you're pumping out the maximum amount of damage that you can. But with that in mind, you will also want to be targeting the best option creatures out there, and it really depends on what creatures those are. But in general, pump those damage numbers, use your abilities as they're up, and figure out your cooldowns. Right, that will be your first step in being a good damage dealer, is just figuring out, hey, what needs to be on cooldown, how fast can I get it to cooldown, and when will I activate it again. You don't just want abilities hanging around doing nothing all of the game. It's just a lack of DPS for you. So that is the first thing you'll do. The next thing you'll do is target the creature that is the most important to wipe out. And it really depends on what dungeon you're running and what that creature might be. And honestly, I don't even know for some of these dungeons as of right now. One thing I would suggest in the dungeon that we're currently running is to target the couriers. I actually don't really target them in this dungeon for this first one because I didn't know how bad they hurt or their big AoE. And I've started to realize that, and probably in the future we'll be sure to take that down as fast as I can, because that's my job, right? To take down the biggest and scariest threats before they wipe the team or wipe the tank. So that is your second thing to do. Identify the biggest threats and make sure that you take them down as fast as you can. On top of just identifying that biggest threat, a tangent to that is being able to learn to kick the right abilities, or to make sure you stop the right ability from happening. I think all DPS characters have an ability to stop someone from casting. An enemy who casts a yellow bar, like some of those venom bolts you're seeing right now, you have the ability to stop that. Usually it is your top ability, the second one over on the right. So for me it's shift 2, but I also have it bound to my mouse keys so that I can target a creature that I'm able to kick right away, and then kick it when I need to. Now, I think that's one of those important things as well. It just helps you to stop big damage from going out to your tank. And sometimes you want to save that ability when you know you have an enemy that has a big spell that's counterable, and counter it at that time. I also have a second kind of counter ability, my E, which pushes enemies, which also stops the yellow cast bar. Alright, so that is your third thing as a DPS. 1, put your abilities on cooldown as best as you can. Do as much damage as you possibly can. 2, make sure that you're targeting the right creatures. And 3, make sure that you are stopping the right abilities so that your tank is able to stay alive. And then after that, it's pretty simple for the DPS role, right? You need to make sure you're following the tank. You're not making any of the decisions on the map, even if you think you know a better route than the tank. For that run, you do not follow your tank. Do not go against your tank, please. Right? You will die if you don't have the tank ahead of you, guarding you and taking those hits for you. You're just not designed to do that. That's the way the Holy Trinity always has been for a long time. The tank has to be the one who leads the party and decides what gets pulled. It is not your responsibility. The other thing that you need to make sure is happening to help your healer out, not only do you have to help your tank, but you gotta help your healer. You should use your defensive skills when it's necessary to do so. So when you know that there are group-wide damage things that are about to happen, use your defensive spells. You might have 2 of them, you might just have 1, but please make sure that you identify what those abilities are and use them before taking a lot of damage. That's it. Right, those are the things you do as a DPS. Ultimately, your real goal is to try to be the highest damage you can and kill things as fast as possible. If you like big numbers and big numbers go burr, this class is for you. Right? This is probably the class where you'll have the biggest numbers, or at least hopefully, if you're doing it correctly, than the other classes. And then you can try out different characters within that class to see which one you like the most, and really if the damage class is for you. I recommend that if you're playing this game, figure out which of the 3 classes that you really enjoy and start pushing with that class. Because really, ultimately, a game is about the fun that you are having. And if you're not having fun, then what are you doing on that game? Fellowship has been a really fun game. It would be even more fun with other players. From my experience so far, I've only gotten to play with randoms. There is a matchmaking system, and it's okay, but I feel like I mostly get stuck in contenders that I don't need to be in anymore, like contender 5. So whenever I get a group, I usually try and convince them to stay with me and move on to contender 6 content to try and get some more items. And I recently got to attempt the capstone dungeon for contender, and it did not go well. If you're looking at this and you're thinking, wow, this boss looks really easy, they're already down to 78%, just know that the game gets a little bit harder. The capstone dungeon for the contenders league, it had a lot of mechanics, a lot more than the bosses I had experienced so far, which I really liked that. So I'm still hopeful for what this game has to come. Right now, I think it has 8 dungeons that are playable, and the game is enjoyable where it's at. If you like pushing content and getting stronger, this game is for you. If you like to gear up in the gear grind from MMORPGs, you should try this game. It's a lot of fun, and you don't have too much to lose. Right now it's in early access. It's I think it's on sale for $22, but normally it's $25, which I think is a fair price for games nowadays. And really, if you like MMORPGs, you should try this game out and see if it's something that you really could take some time playing, that you might have fun doing. The game so far is enjoyable. One of their biggest issues are their servers. And when they figure that out and people can queue up more often, then this game is going to be a really, really good, fun game to play, especially if they add raids into it as well. So this is the end of the Contender 6 dungeon. Hopefully I'll get out of Contender at some point, and maybe some of you would want to help me along the way. Hopefully you'll learn a little bit about your DPS classes, and you have a great time. I'll see you out there.